Hey friend, Graham Cochran here. Today I want to talk about an important mindset. If you want to be successful in your business, then you have to understand this practical but powerful truth, which is that done is better than perfect. Completing something, whether it's your blog post or a video or a podcast or your product, even when it is flawed, is far better than working on it, toying with it, tinkering with it until it's perfect. Just as famous French philosopher Voltaire wrote way back in 1770, better is the enemy of good. If you want to create something really, really good, really, really great, you're going to have to let go of this idea of perfect. Part of the problem is when it comes to creating content for our brand or working on a product, free or paid, doesn't matter, we tend to perfect or try to perfect the wrong things. We'll obsess over the website design, the logo, the fonts, the colors. We'll obsess over which back-end tools to use for our business. We'll obsess over equipment. Which camera should I buy? Which lighting should I use? Which software should I use to edit my videos? What's the best podcast setup? Some of us will even obsess over the grammar and perfect spelling in our blog posts. The problem is that none of these things really are what matters. What matters to the end user, to the person who consumes our content, or to the customer or eventual customer is our content valuable? Is our product valuable? Does it solve a problem? Does it create a promised result? Does the content speak to them? And for you, does that content or those products, do they build a community around your brand? Those things are very separate from the things that we obsess over perfecting. Let me give you an example. My mom, I'm not trying to call her out at all, but I'll bring my mom into this example. She lately has been starting a YouTube channel. She wants to start a brand and a YouTube channel and use her passion and her skills to build a side business that one day might become a full-time business for her. Now, she's been gathering research and doing all that stuff and putting together all of her ideas so she can start creating YouTube videos. And she's been getting advice from well-meaning people who are relatively successful in this niche, who have content out there, and even some people who don't do this, but they know a lot about video. And the advice she's getting is all focused on the wrong things. She's been told to make a jingle, design an intro graphic, get professional lighting. She needs a green screen or a backdrop for her videos. All of this stuff, while yeah, it makes sense. That's what we think about when we think about a video. All of this stuff is the stuff around the thing in the middle that really matters, the content in her video. No one really cares if she has a jingle or not, or what the jingle is. No one cares if there's an intro graphic. No one cares if she has professional lighting or a backdrop. None of that matters. Now, you want a video that's professional, but you don't need any of that stuff for it to be professional. And even if she had all those things, that would not guarantee that her content would be successful, because she has to still deliver inside the video. The video itself has to deliver content that connects with her target market and adds value. So it's like obsessing over the icing on the cake, obsessing over the little frills of icing. And I love icing on cake. Like, that's the thing I like. But I know if I just eat scoops of icing, like, I'll get sick, and it's kind of weird. It's supposed to be on a good cake. Because if I had a piece of cake with really good icing, but if the cake, if you cut it open, start eating the cake, if it was moldy or gross, I'd be like, no thank you. So from a guy who loves icing, and from a guy who wants his stuff to look professional, all that stuff is just the icing. You still need a good cake in the middle. Otherwise, the cake is a bust. Look, take it from me, from a guy who makes videos for a living. My first videos were awful. Just take a look at my very first video I ever shot for the Recording Revolution. The lighting is non-existent, or if it is, it's on the back of the wall. I shot it at night. The video quality is grainy. The audio quality is awful. There's no microphone other than the built-in microphone on my camera. It was awful in terms of all of those things. But you know what? That video still helps people today, almost 10 years later. It teaches something. It's getting views. It's getting people to my site. It's getting people into my funnel. It leads to customers. It still works and it still serves people, even though it looks awful. And that leads me to my next point, which is you have to start somewhere. The way to actually get good, or the way for your product or your content to look better, be better, is to iterate. We don't start with perfect content. We don't start with a perfect product, but we have to start. I think there's a false belief that we could just throw more time at our content, more time at our product, more time at our website, and it will get better. But at some point, there's this line or this point of diminishing returns where every hour you throw at it is really not making it any better, or if it is, it's infinitesimal and no one will ever notice it or appreciate it. And so you are losing time. You are focusing on the 80% that doesn't really matter instead of focusing on the 20%, the things that truly do matter. Musicians do this all the time. I know from my years and years in the music space, as musicians, we're artists. We want a perfect sounding song, and so we spend hours and hours and hours in the studio perfecting the recordings and tweaking it in the software and re-recording and retweaking and making sure that it sounds perfect, and we never release stuff. I mean, so many of my students never release their music, and they'll be working on it for 3-4 years and still haven't released anything because they want it to be perfect before they release it. When I would tell them, just release it. It won't be perfect, but your next one will get better. Your next one will get better. And for you as a content creator, as a brand, as a business, the way to get better is actually to iterate. Put something out and make it better as you go over time. Jason Fried has this great quote from his amazing book called Rework, where he talks about this iteration process. He says, don't mistake this approach of putting something out there and iterating for skimping on quality. You still want to make something great. This approach just recognizes that the best way to get there is through iterations. Stop imagining what's going to work. Find out for real. Do you hear what Jason's saying? The only way to know how to make your content better is to make content. The only way I knew how to make better videos that served people better, that looked better, that sounded better, and all those fun and important things was to put videos out there week after week after week, because I got better at the process. I learned how to film better. I learned how to edit better. But if I just watched videos all day long on how to make the perfect video without ever putting anything out, it would actually take me longer to get good because I won't be getting the experience of putting it out. My products, as I put them out, they aren't perfect. They weren't perfect. I've made them better. I've added modules. I've improved things. I've filled in gaps that I maybe didn't teach perfectly the first time around. I get feedback from my customers. I get feedback from my students. My websites, they were awful in the beginning. They looked awful. They weren't very functional, but they still work. They still drew traffic. They still put money in my pocket. They still serve people, but I learned and have gotten better and made my websites better as I go. The way to get better, the way to know what actually worked is to put something out in the world, get feedback, and then improve it. And this might drive you crazy. And I think there's something else we have to discuss before we wrap up this concept. The idea of perfect doesn't exist. It's not real. And that drives me crazy. If you do the whole Enneagram personality thing, I'm a 1 on the Enneagram. It doesn't mean I'm number 1 or the best. It just means that's the number of my personality. That is the perfectionist. I am a person that looks around the world and sees all the things that aren't perfect. I want to improve. I want to make things better. And it drives me nuts, this idea that perfect doesn't exist, because I want to get there. I want my business to run perfectly. I want my products to be perfect. I want my videos and my content to be perfect. I want my strategy to be perfect. I want my schedule to be perfect. I want my kids to be perfect, my wife. Can't everyone just be perfect? Oh, that would make me so happy. But perfect doesn't exist, not in this world at least. And I think though that when we hang our hooks on wanting something to be perfect, or I'm just gonna keep working out until it's perfect, what that really is doing, I'm speaking from experience, is it reveals that there's insecurity, there's fear. If we want it to be perfect, if we're not releasing our content or our product because it's not done yet, it's not perfect yet, it's probably because there's fear of being embarrassed, fear of it not being professional enough. We like to have it together. We want to project this idea that we are the real deal, because we're afraid that people won't buy from us or trust us if we don't look professional. All of that goes back to insecurities. And honestly, all of this is the backwards way to do business. I've talked about it before, but when you think about these things, these insecurities, these fears, this need to look the part, to be credible, that's self-centered thinking. That's you just being inward focused. You don't have to be the best to charge for something. You don't have to have credentials. Stop obsessing about yourself, that, oh, I'm not good enough, it's not ready, it's not perfect. And instead, flip it around and start obsessing about your customers. Start obsessing about your audience. Think about them. What do they need? What could I help them with today? Holding your content back here and perfecting it, which doesn't really exist, by the way, is punishing them. It's not allowing them to benefit from what you know, from what you have today. If you really want a successful business, serve people today. Don't wait till tomorrow, or don't wait till a month from now when it's better. If you have a product that's pretty much done, don't wait for 6 more months till you perfect the sales copy, till you perfect the site, till you perfect the video intro, till you've got the logo. Just put it out there so people can benefit, get results. You'll be happy, they'll be happy, you'll get testimonials, you'll get feedback, you can make it better as you go. Don't let that self-obsession and that fear and the insecurity delay you from serving people. Don't let that punish the market. Having a piece of content be done and out there, having a product be done and out there, even if it's flawed, is better than striving for perfection, because it doesn't exist. You're probably perfecting the wrong things, and it punishes the market. It punishes your audience who needs your material now. The world favors those who jump in and deliver value, even if flawed, even if not perfect, but deliver it today. It favors those kind of people over the people that stay in their bubble and perfect it. And I'm gonna release it when it's perfect. Too late. Too late. Get out there now, serve now, share now, even if it's flawed. If you care about your audience, you'll serve them today, even with a flawed and imperfect piece of content or product. Now I want to hear from you. If you're willing to be honest, let's start a conversation. What is something that you've been trying to perfect and tweak and make amazing, that you've been holding back from just releasing and letting it help and serve people? Leave a comment below. Let me know what is something that you've been trying to perfect. And if you really want to be bold, what is the fear behind that that's keeping you from sharing that piece of content or that product with the world? What is the fear, insecurity that's keeping you from being done and releasing it and moving on to the next thing? If you're brave enough to share, leave a comment below. We've all experienced it. We've all done it. Welcome to the club. But remember, if you want success, you got to get stuff out there. Done is better than perfect. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing to these videos if you enjoy them, and I'll see you on another video real soon.